Hello there.
Hey, what is up to all you beautiful manga loving faces? It's your boy Shonen Caesar, bringing you guys another video for the first time in a long time. It's been nearly 8 months since my last video back in August, and I'm sure some of you have been wondering where I've been. Well, there's a plethora of reasons and excuses I could give you that range from being lazy and procrastinating to having health and medical issues, but that's neither here nor there. What we're here to talk about is manga. So in the time that I've been away from YouTube, I've still been reading and of course buying manga. I haven't stopped the hobby. I've just been taking a bit of a hiatus from filming and posting on YouTube, but I am very excited to be back. I had a lot of ideas as to what I wanted to make as my first comeback video because it's been 8 months, probably by the time I'm posting this, about close to 9 months since my last video, which was a manga haul back in July. Well, the manga haul was for July, but it was posted in August. But what better way than to bring back my channel the same way I brought it in than with a manga haul. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into what I've got for the month of April. So we're going to try something a little new. I've never done chapters on my videos, but I think I want to go ahead and try that. So we're going to start from the least I got from a publisher to the most I got from a publisher. And the first publisher on that list is Titan Manga with Adam the Beginning, Volume 4. So I read the first volume of this way back when it first came out, and I thoroughly enjoyed that first volume, and I decided I'm going to wait until more comes out so I have more content to enjoy by the time I decide to get back into it. I'm now 3 volumes behind, and I think I might get back into it around volume 5. But so far, it's been really good. Next on the list is the first and probably the only manga I might ever get from this publisher, and that is Sengoku Yoku by Tokyopop. So I know next to nothing about this manga. The only reason why I picked it up is because the mangaka Satoshi Mizukami is the same gentleman that brought us Spirit Circle, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, and World End Solte. And out of all those series, the only one I've even dipped my toe into is World End Solte. I read Volume 1, thought it was very interesting, and decided once I heard the premise of this that it might be right up my alley. If when I say premise, all I heard is typical shonen goodness. So I hopped on the bandwagon and decided to give this a shot. Next up, I got 2 volumes from Square Enix manga. The first one on top has me very excited because it's from one of my favorite mangas of all time, Hiromu Arakawa. And that manga is Demons of the Shadow Realm. I heard about this work a while back, and before I even decided to read it online, I heard that it was going to come into print physically, and I was so excited. And instead of reading it online, I waited to get it in my hands physically, and I'm going to enjoy every page of this because I love her art and her storytelling. And the next one from Square Enix manga needs no introduction, and that is Soul Eater and the Perfect Editions, Volume 10. I am still yet to touch these volumes personally. I still absolutely love the anime, and I can't wait to get into these. But since I have a general idea as to what happens, even though the anime has its own ending, I think I'm going to wait until these are completed before I start binging them. Next on the list, I got 2 volumes from Ablaze Manga. On the top here, we have Fight Class 3 Volume 1. I heard about this manga a very long time ago, as it was available for pre-order on Right Stuff for quite a while. I read the synopsis to see if it was something I was going to be into, and it's right up my alley. I've been getting really into manhwa lately, and this seems like it's going to be just another one of those manhwa series that just grasped my attention and won't let go. Another manhwa series that has grasped my attention and has been in the back of my mind ever since I started reading it and got caught up has been The Breaker. Volume 5 just got released, and I haven't broken into it yet because I just read through volumes 1 through 4 a couple months ago, but I'm super excited to have this volume in my possession because I cannot wait to break into it and see what happens next. Next on the menu, we have some more manhwa, starting with Volume 2 of The World After the End. The first volume of this was super entertaining, super action-packed, and the art was impeccable. Volume 2, I'm sure is not going to miss. And another manhwa volume that I don't expect to miss is The Boxer. This is another manhwa that's right up my alley, and Volume 1 was super interesting, so Volume 2 I'm sure is going to slap. Moving on next, we got 7 Seas and 1 Ghost Ship title. First up is a series and a mangaka I was just talking about, and that is World End Solte by Satoshi Mizukami. Like I said, I read the first volume, thought it was very interesting, so I can't wait to get into this and experience why Satoshi Mizukami is one of the most respected mangakas in the industry. Next up is the one and only Ghost Ship title in this haul, and in my collection, and that is Ayakashi Triangle Volume 3. I think this series is very interesting. It does a lot of things right, and I love the artwork, but at times it's a bit too ecchi for me. So I almost dropped it in Volume 2, but decided to give it one more chance to keep me hooked. And this is Volume 3. So I'm hoping, for the most part, that it keeps me hooked with the storytelling and its art, outside of the art, to keep me attracted to this series. Sometimes it gets a bit weird. Coming up is a series that I pre-ordered forever ago. And Right Stuff, apparently, according to Prof Otaku, only had like 150 copies of this series to fulfill those pre-orders, so a lot of people were still waiting on their pre-orders. Me personally, I got a little too impatient and decided to hit up my friends over at Amazon to get my copy as soon as I can. And that series is Die Dark Volume 5. Q Yoshida is very well known and well respected in the manga community because of her work on Doro Hidoro. Die Dark does not miss, just like Doro Hidoro did not. I believe I'm a few volumes behind, either 2 to 3 volumes behind, because I read just a little bit of it and thought it was super interesting and I loved the concept. Unfortunately, these volumes come out very slow, so you don't get much to chew on for long, and that's why I stopped reading the series. But I'm gonna be back. I just need more content. I need to binge more. 1 volume at a time with how slow these come out is painstaking. Coming up next is a manga that I picked up based off of one recommendation from one manga tuber, and that was Jake the Pod. He did a video on this series way before it even got printed in English, and I thought it was fairly interesting from the way he described it. And that series is Kimono Jihen. I haven't dove into this series yet, but I was waiting on more content to come out before I decided to go ahead and read it. And with Volume 5, I think that time has come. I've heard a lot of really good things from Jake the Pog and other manga tubers that have picked up the series as it's been releasing, and I think I'm gonna like this. Moving on to the last series I have from 7 Seas, this series really does not need any introduction, and that is Tokyo Revengers. This is now Omnibus number 5, covering volumes 9 and 10. And I've been waiting for the series to get more and more content because I'm a huge fan of the anime, but I don't want to revisit what I've already seen in the anime. So maybe I think it might be about time that I get into the manga, especially since I saw a post recently that Ken Wakui was actually in a game. I'm starting to think this might be an autobiography. Next on the menu is what I picked up from Kodansha. First up, we have a series from the beloved Neji Hiruba, and that is Go-Go Loser Ranger. This series, I read the first 3 volumes and absolutely fell in love with it. Every time a new volume gets released, the series gets better and better and better, and I expect Volume 4 to do exactly the same. Now if this name seems familiar, it's because he's the same gentleman that brought us the quintessential quintuplets, and I hear that this series is doing just as good, if not better, than that series in Japan. Moving on, we have a volume from his previously concluded series that now has a new spin-off, and that is Fairy Tail's 100 Years Quest Volume 12. I still haven't read my collection of Fairy Tail, and I especially have not read any volumes of 100 Years Quest, but every time a new volume comes in, I'm very excited to pick up because I was a fan of the Fairy Tail manga. Apparently some people aren't. I am. I'm the minority, I guess, but I'm super excited to get into the manga as well. I just haven't been motivated for that commitment personally, but I will be getting into it at some point. It's going to sit in my collection for a while, maybe, but I will read it without fail. Following that, we have yet another banger from Hiromu Arakawa, and that is The Heroic Legend of Arslan, Volume 17. Now, I've read nothing about the series. Now, I'm sure you're saying, well, Caesar, you said it was a banger. How do you know it's a banger if you haven't read it? Because it's a Hiromu Arakawa. Guaranteed banger. Certified hood classic. Just because of the name, that's it. That's all you need. But in all seriousness, I do want to get into the series soon because, like I said, she's one of my favorite mangakas, and she's the reason why I started really getting into collecting with Full Metal Alchemist. I love that series so much that I will always pick up everything she's ever put out. And Silver Spoon is something that's in the back of my mind. It's just going to take me a while before I get into that because that's a slice of life manga about agriculture. I don't know if I'd be into it, but it's Hiromu Arakawa. Previously, I talked about Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, and that has some sort of link to this next manga, but it's only because of the gentleman that brought it to life, and that is Eden Zero by Hiro Mashima. I'm behind on the series by about 22 volumes now because I stopped on volume 10, but I loved the 10 volumes that I did read, And it's just been taking me a while to get back into it, but I think it might be soon because this series just keeps coming out more and more often, and I hear it's getting better and better. So I have to experience it for myself. Now, I've talked about how Hiruo Arakawa is the reason why I really got into collecting because their story captured me so much, but the first manga that I picked up and started my collection with wasn't Full Metal Alchemist, but it was Fire Force. I'm sure I've told you guys before, but the anime I loved so much that I needed more content, and I started to pick up the manga, and it was an addiction from there. I was picking up more and more and more every freaking week on Amazon, and now we have volume 32. This is the penultimate volume. 33 will end the series, and it's what I've been waiting on to go through and reread the entire series. I stopped around volume 23 when I heard that it ended in Japan at volume 33, and I was like, you know what? I can be patient, 10 more volumes, and I will reread the entire series and enjoy it all over again. So I can't wait for that. Next up is another series that I haven't gotten into yet, but I hear nothing but good things about, and that is Shangri-La Frontier. Said to be an isekai type series taking place in an RPG type world, I thought it was very interesting. So typically we hear about the 3-volume rule. If you're not into the series after 3 volumes, then it's probably not for you. For me, I personally feel like 5 volumes is the way to go. Now, that's just me. I like more volumes to read, I like more content to chew on, I like to binge a little bit. So to me, 5 is perfect. So it's probably about time that I started getting into this to develop my own opinion. Now the next series I've already developed an opinion for, and it came from volume 1. And that is Blue Lock. Certified slaps. Blue Lock I know I'm gonna like regardless of how long I wait to read more of it, because it was just such an interesting concept, such a good sports manga off the rip from just volume 1. Volume 6 is out, and maybe it's about time I get back into it, but I know this series is going to slap regardless of how long I wait to read it. Moving on to the next series is another RPG-like series, but this one is definitely an isekai. And that is The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. I was gifted the first 6 volumes from my friend Warlord Mudkip, and I decided, you know what, let me just go ahead and pick up the rest of the volumes. So this series, like many that I just showed, I picked up in the 8 months that I've been away, and volume 21 was the most recent volume to get released in April. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I hear nothing but good things, and now I have a lot of content to binge when I finally decide to read it. Now the last thing I got from Kodansha is actually a box set, and that is box set 4 of the 7 Deadly Sins. You're going to see a common trend here of me picking up series that I haven't read yet. This is yet another one. The reason why I picked up the manga is because I absolutely loved the anime. Yet another hot take apparently, as people don't like the anime as much, but I loved the anime, and I wanted to pick up the series. Now I know I said I wasn't a fan of the box sets when it came down to that time I was reincarnated as a slime, but this I personally feel like is helping me pace myself in picking up the series. Because if it was up to me, I would have picked up all 41 volumes in one go, and that really would have hurt the wallet. So I feel like this is a good way for me to pace myself on the series and not, spend too much picking it up. Moving on, we're going to get into the publisher I picked up the most from, and that is of course Viz. Off the rip, we have an absolute banger, and that is Tatsuki Fujimoto's Before Chainsaw Man 22 to 26. I actually just read this not too long ago, and I thought it was very interesting. I'm sure I'm not unique in saying this, but Tatsuki Fujimoto has become one of my favorite mangakas. Chainsaw Man was amazing, Fire Punch was a lot of fun, Look Back was great, and I cannot wait for Goodbye Eri. But this volume, just like everything else he has done, has been very interesting and a lot of fun to read. Next up is a new series from a beloved manga. And I say new, but I'm going to put air quotes here because it's new to us. It's been out for a while in Japan, but it's just now getting printed in English because of its most recent popularity. And that is Tista Volume 1 from Tatsuya Endo. Now that name should sound familiar because as you can see on the back, it is a gentleman that brought us Spy Family. This volume was a lot of fun and I can't wait to read more on this series. Now this series is very different from what he's known for in Spy Family, but it's very good in my opinion. It's a bit more violent, isn't as wholesome, but still a very, very good read. Following that is the final volume of a previously canceled series, and that is The Hunters Guild Red Hood. I'm yet to read this final volume, but the first 2 I thought were very interesting and I thoroughly enjoyed. Makes me sad that the series was canceled, but I'm very excited to see how they ended it with the little bit of time that they had left. It's a very interesting concept and the characters are fairly lovable, but the art is what really hooked me. This mangaka is a former assistant of the same mangaka that brought us My Hero Academia, which is Koki Hirokoshi. And you can see his influence in this art style. With that said, the art is one of the main reasons why I continue to pick it up. And then after that, the storytelling and the concept of the story itself is the reason why I decided to pick up the series, even though it was canceled. Next up is a series that has been blowing up, and for good reason, and that is Dandadan Volume 3. This series has been nothing but fun, action-packed goodness since Volume 1. And it has a very unique story behind it. It's a little explicit and the concepts are pretty funny, but this story does not miss. Dandadan is incredible from Volume 1 to Volume 3. Even though I haven't read this volume, I'm already going to tell you it's good. Why? Because it's Dandadan. It's just so much freaking fun. On the top here is a series that I am currently caught up with. I just haven't read the most recent volume, and that is Mission Yozakura Family. This series caught my attention from Volume 1. I thought the characters are very good, the art is very nice, and the story has been very interesting, and it continues to get better and better and better with each volume. So as the series continues to go on, I'm very interested in where it goes. Next up is another amazing series that I love probably more than Dandadan, and that is Kaiju number 8 Volume 6. This series never ever misses for me, and every volume is action-packed from front to back. Bars. There's not much about the series I can say that I haven't said already, because it's just so freaking good. If you guys haven't got into it, this will be the first recommendation I give you guys from this video, and might be the only one. But Kaiju number 8 does not miss, I'm telling you now. Yet another series that just don't miss is Sakamoto Days Volume 7. And I'm sure you're hearing these praises being sung from everyone in the manga community, and it's because it's well deserved. Sakamoto Days is just such a good series, and it gets better and better and better every freaking volume. I can't wait to get into Volume 7. It's been a while since I've read it, so it's just gonna be so good. Next up is a series that I haven't read yet, but I heard it started off really slow, but is getting better as it comes out, and that is Undead Unluck Volume 11. I wanted to read and get caught up on this series when Volume 10 got released, but then I got caught up reading something else and just never got around to it. But this is another one of those series that I know I'm going to enjoy when I finally get around to reading it, because I hear nothing but good things about it. Typically, from what I'm hearing, people are saying that it's slow and it gets better as it goes on, but I've realized that typically the things that people don't like are the things that I do like, so I'm very excited to get into this. Moving on, it's a series I read the first 2 volumes of, and I've taken a complete break from it because I want more content of it to come out before I decide to dive back into it, and that is Moriarty the Patriot Volume 11. The first 2 volumes of the series were incredible. The storytelling was impeccable, and I think the concept of the series is very, very interesting. Now, if you don't know who Moriarty is, he's like the rival of Sherlock Holmes. And Sherlock Holmes is in this series, and the moment he was introduced, I was like, you know what? Let me take a break. I'm gonna let this build up so that there's more content for me to binge, because this is gonna be an incredible ride. The first 2 volumes alone were very good, but the introduction of Sherlock Holmes into this type of story, I was like, you know what? Let me wait, because this is gonna be so good. Next up is a series I speak very fondly of, and that is Dr. Stone Volume 25. I believe people are saying this is the penultimate volume, but I don't know. I guess I'll find out soon. The series is coming to a close very soon, and you can tell in Volume 25. There's not much left to do. They're on their way to their final objective, and I just love how this series has played out. Just last night, I was talking to my friend who was watching the anime, and I've only read the manga, and we were bouncing off of each other talking about how much we absolutely love this series. So I can't wait to see how it concludes. I'm going to be sad that it's gone, but I'm very excited to see how it ends. Back on the topic of series that I keep picking up but haven't read yet is Kaguya-sama Love is War Volume 25. Now, I have read the first volume of this series and thought it was very interesting. I hear people speak very fondly of it and talk about how great it is. I just haven't dove into it yet. I don't know when I will, but I think it might be soon, because I'm having this weird relationship with rom-coms where I'm like, I think it might be good, I think it's up my alley, I hear nothing but good things about it, and then I'm not super into it. The only rom-com that I know for a fact that I absolutely enjoy and love with all my heart is Call of the Night, but I think that is a very unique case, because Call of the Night is fantastic. Not saying that this isn't amazing, I'm sure it's amazing in its own right, I just haven't experienced it yet, and like I said, I think I might be doing so soon just to see where I stand. Now, a series that absolutely needs no introduction, and I literally can't talk about it because I only read the first box set, and that is One Piece Volume 102. It's One Piece. Everyone loves One Piece. Everyone knows about One Piece. I've only read the first box set and I wanted to continue. Do you understand how daunting this is? 102 volumes? I'll read it at some point. Back on the subject of rom-com series that I'm kind of on the fence of is this series, Komi Can't Communicate Volume 24. I picked up a large bulk of it, I don't even remember when, and so far, literally just this past month, I only read the first 2 volumes. I started to fall asleep when I was reading the second volume, so I was like, let me take a break and I'll come back to Volume 3 when I'm fully alive and ready to experience it again. But this is one of those series where I'm like, do I want to keep picking it up? Do I want to continue to read it? Do I want to continue to collect it? I don't know where I'm at. I just know a lot of people do love this series, but I'm starting to hear and see that people are like, get on with it. Like, it's about time it ended. How are you going to drag this out for so long? So I'm a bit concerned, but I shall read this series with eyes unclouded by hate and experience it for myself personally to see where I stand with it. Now, oh God. This next series, I still haven't wrapped in plastic. I read a little bit of it online before I picked it up. I wanted to make sure I wanted to buy this series physically. I hear nothing but good things about it, but I also hear that it's very weird. But I wasn't expecting it to be as weird as it was, and that series is Boys Abyss Volume 1. Plastic is still on here. I don't know when I'm taking it off. Now, here's why. I read a little bit of it online, like I said. I got to chapter 3, and I was like, what in the world am I reading? Now, if you have this volume, go to the end of chapter 3. That very last panel is what I saw, and I went, what the? This series is bonkers, but it does such a great job of leaving every chapter on a cliffhanger, and it makes you want to keep reading more to find out what's going on. You don't ever find out what's going on. But damn, is it good when it does that. It is so suspenseful, so mysterious, such great storytelling. I can't recommend this series to everyone because I don't know what you guys are into. And it is very freaking odd, but damn, is it good. Next up is a series that is nothing like Boys Abyss. It's not intricate in its storytelling. It's not mysterious in the way it tells the story. It doesn't keep you hooked with every chapter. It's quite brain dead in its execution, which, for the most part, is kind of what I'm into with some series. And it's like that for this one. And that is Record of Ragnarok Volume 6. Now, I haven't read any of this series. I've just been picking it up every time a new volume comes out, trying to build up more content like I usually do. I've watched the first season of the anime on Netflix. I thought it was very interesting. It's definitely right up my alley with how it's just big dudes beating up big dudes. Nothing but violence and action. Oh, I'm into that. And I can't wait to get into the series. And for the most part, because I just want more content. I wanted to start reading the series once it got past where the anime was, but then season 2 came out, and now this is behind again. So I'm probably just going to wait again and wait until it gets more and more content. But I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's just big dudes beating up big dudes, a bunch of violence and action. It's good for me. Moving on, we have a series that has just released its final volume, and that is Dead Demons Destruction Volume 12. No, I gave that title a lot of enthusiasm because I absolutely love this title, and every single time I read the title I'm like, yeah, man, that's a good one. But this is the final volume. I've read volume 1 of the series, thought it was very interesting. Inio Asano's art is next to none, almost unmatched by any other mangaka, but the story is very interesting, and I was like, you know what, I know it's going to be a very short series. I can't remember where I heard it from, but I knew like it was already over in Japan when I read volume 1, and I like to binge my series like I tell you guys all the time. So that the fact that this is volume 12 and it's the final volume, I think it's about time that I get back into it, and I can't wait to see where the story goes. It's very interesting, and like I said, the art is freaking impeccable. Coming up, back on the subject of series that I keep buying and I haven't read any of it yet, is Ultraman Volume 18. I forever ago looked up and looked into the art, and I was like, ooh, that art is super dope, and I wanted to get into it. And I picked up all the volumes, and I've still been picking up these volumes, but I haven't read anything on it. Outside of the art, the main reason why I'm super interested in picking up the series is because it's a superhero type of concept, and I am super into superheroes, which sounds kind of weird. But Back when I used to read a lot of American comics, like Western comics, that was what I was into, was just the superhero comics like Batman, Superman, the Justice League. I had some Wolverine and stuff like that. You know, the typical Western comic scene. But this was very interesting to me. I thought the anime was fairly interesting as well. I didn't watch much of it. I watched like the first couple of episodes, and I thought it was so freaking cool, and then decided to pick up the manga. When will I get into this? I don't know, but I'm going to keep picking it up. Now, this next volume is going to be a bit confusing because you guys haven't seen what I picked up in the past 8 months. I plan on showing you guys what I picked up in the past 8 months when I do a updated collection video, but I'm going to highlight everything you guys missed out on so you guys know what I picked up in the past 8 months, and this series is one of them, and that is Inuyasha Volume 14. This makes me extremely happy. I picked up everything else from Volume 1 to 18, and the only volumes I was missing was 14 and 18. I got lucky with Volume 18 picking it up at a local Books A Million. It was just randomly on the shelf, and I snagged it before it got restocked. But Volume 14 was the last volume I was waiting on. It recently came back in stock on Right Stuff, and they sent it to me because I had it on pre-order. And I'm very, very happy to finally have Inuyasha complete on my collection. Moving on is a series that I'm sure you guys have heard of. But if you haven't heard of it, I'm sure you've heard of the mangaka. And that mangaka is Naoki Urasawa. And the series is Master Key. I have just about everything else from Naoki Urasawa that is printed in English. And the only series that I was missing was Master Keaton. And I picked up volumes 1, 3, and 4 in the month of April. Volumes 2 and 5 are extremely out of stock. I can't find them nowhere, but I'm going to be keeping my eye out for them, because this is another one of those works from Naoki Urasawa that I want to get everything of, because I love his style of writing. I love his art, and I know that he doesn't write this completely. As you can see on the cover here, it's written by 2 other mangakas, and he does the art, but I think halfway through the series, he takes over on the storytelling as well, and that's what I'm really here for, is the art and the fact that halfway through the series, he starts to take over. So I'm excited for this. I think the cover, I mean, the release is super nice. Can't get much better than that. And it's Naoki Urasawa. How can we go wrong? Now, last but not least is the final thing I picked up from Viz, and the last thing in this haul, and that is Fist of the North Star Volume 8. This is another one of those series that I keep picking up but I haven't read yet. But I know for a fact I'm going to enjoy. It's very action-packed, very violent, and that's what I'm into. So I'm just going to keep picking these up until I finally get motivated to read them, whether it's before the series gets completed or after. I just know I'm going to enjoy it because action-packed manga is why I even started picking up manga. And there's not much more action-packed manga than this one. Well, guys, that's all I picked up in the month of April. Like I said, the next video you guys will be seeing, hopefully in the next couple of days, is my manga collection. I will be highlighting everything that you guys missed in the past 8 months, just so you guys know what's new to my collection and what's different about it, basically. Very quickly before we go, the question of the day, the question I want to ask you guys, and then you go ahead and post in the comment section down below, is what has been your favorite manga to read in the past 8 months? Literally the past 8 months. I'm very curious as to what you guys have been reading and keeping up with in the time that I've been gone. I could use some more recommendations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and wrap up this video. I've missed doing this. I've missed you guys. I plan on being more active without procrastinating, without being lazy. I don't want any of my issues to get in the way. I want to overcome any obstacle and keep posting because I missed it so much. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. Ring that bell notification and make sure you don't miss any of the videos I plan on posting in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Shonen Caesar out.
Very nice, Caesar-chan!